Hey everyone, Jexie here. I just want to apologize for this video being a little bit all over the place in regarding filming. It was a couple crazy days and I wanted to still get a video out on time. So you'll see I'm filmed in the car. My intro is not filmed at the same time of day like usual. But I wanted to let you guys know that today's video, I talk a little bit about my experience when one of my friends in recovery passed away of an overdose. I thought that maybe sharing my experience with how that felt and, you know, the fact that we all experience deaths the longer we're in recovery, because unfortunately addiction's deadly. I just wanted to share something more personal with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you all soon. I wanted to kind of tell you guys a story of a friend of mine. Probably the hardest death I've had to deal with in my recovery. My absolute best friend, her name is Michelle. Hi, Michelle. She's my best friend in recovery and has been for a very long time. And she knew this other guy, and because I don't have the family's permission to use his name, we'll call him Chris. So, Michelle and Chris had went to high school together. They'd known each other for a very long time. Michelle's also about 15 years older than me. So, Michelle and I were very close, and we used to see Chris all the time at meetings. And I had a very good relationship with him. He had about a year clean when he relapsed. He was still coming to meetings, and nobody knew. I had noticed one time at the meeting he had went to the bathroom, and when he came back, he was a little off. So we were close. So after the meeting, I kind of called him out quietly. Nobody else heard. And I asked him, I said, "Are you using?" And he told me he had relapsed. That was really hard to hear. It was even harder when he decided not to come back to meetings now that he had been called out. I still wonder whether that was the right move or not. I didn't say it in a mean way. I didn't accuse him of anything. I just asked. So I saw him every day. I would drive by his house and I would make him talk to me because I was so worried that he was going to die and I was going to blame myself. After a couple weeks of him not coming and one overdose scare, I told him that. I said, if you don't come back to meetings, I'm going to forever blame myself. I'm going to think your death is my fault. Don't do that to me, please. So he came back. He did start coming to meetings again. But it wasn't enough. One morning I get a text message from some random person I knew from meetings, and he said, "I'm sorry to hear about Chris." I said, what do you mean? Well, it turns out his mother had worked for a church, and the local police department had called the pastor, the priest, I'm not really sure, to come with them on a call to Chris's house. So I had known, at least I was pretty sure, that Chris had died without having any way to verify that this was true. Now, the kid felt awful for telling me he had thought when his mother was talking about it, she was talking about something that had happened like a week ago. He didn't realize this was all in real time. So I called Michelle and I told her I couldn't let her find out from anybody else. I had to tell her, even though I wasn't certain at the time. So I asked her if her husband was home, and she told me yes, and I wanted to make sure she wasn't alone, and I told her the news, and it was awful. We drove by his house, and his car was there, and his wife's car was there, but I just didn't know. And I had no way of knowing, and so as the day went on, and I'm freaking out, I just wanted to know. I wanted to hear that it wasn't true. So I called his sponsor, and I asked his sponsor, I said, "I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but I heard Chris is dead. Can you call his wife? I can't call his wife. I don't know her." So he called his wife, and sure enough, it was true. He had overdosed that morning. His son who was like 7 at the time, found his father overdosed dead in the basement. That still gets me. Addiction is deadly. Now, I didn't use, but I was sad. I had to talk about it at meetings. He was very close to a lot of people, and it struck the whole area really, really hard. After my friend Chris died, it was hard, and our whole recovery community was hit really hard. My kids were hit hard because they knew his kids, his son. But what I thought was amazing, and what I still am blown away by now, is he had been working on projects at his house. He was building a deck. His sponsor and a whole bunch of other men from the program came over to his house and finished the deck for his family. We all chipped in and helped out his wife and his son as best we could until our help was no longer needed. When she was able to move on with her life and move forward, and our help wasn't as needed, then, you know, we backed off. But we were there throughout everything. I spoke at his funeral. His wife had opened it up for anybody to speak, and I just shared that I was familiar, that Chris and I were friends because we both had a common vice, and that he always did everything he could to help people. I still remember the day I went to leave a meeting and I realized I had a flat tire, and I had been standing outside BSing with people and nobody was there, and I was in a parking lot all by myself, and my ex-husband was home with the kids, and I called him and he's like, I can come, but then I'll have to wake up the kids, and I was in a panic. So I had called Chris and I was like, are you around? And he showed up and changed my tire for me and helped me out. I just know that I'm not the only one that's lost friends in recovery. And I know that this isn't going to be the only story I have. I have stories of multiple friends I've lost in recovery. As I said, this was the one that hit me the hardest, but it's not my only one. But I don't have to use over it. If anything, seeing other people overdose and die needs to remind me that addiction is deadly, and I need to stay strong in my recovery program. My kids need a mother. So I'd love to hear about how any of you had to deal with trauma in recovery. In future videos, I'll tell you other stories. One in particular where I had to find my neighbor's dead body, and I've dealt with trauma in recovery, but together we can get through anything. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel to support me, hit the notification button if you want to know when I upload new videos. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day.